Yeah. Wake up with coffee and sports. Sunrise glow, listen coast to coast. A flow like you know.
Offensively, who made them? Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Sideline to sideline with plays to show. This network's got the spark.
When you put up 300 yards rushing against someone, that you got your butt whooped.
I feel like I would have liked to see Oregon Ohio State in the semis, not the quarters. So I think some reseeding is probably where I would change. But
they're out of their mind. They're going to do this 3 quarterbacks in a row.
Here's the crazy.
I just can't take it.
Birds keep flying high, fans cheering loud, and one podcast moving through the crowd. Meaty Boyz brawling, no holds barred loud. This wire life never in doubt. Tune into the vibe.
That's my bold prediction for the show. Devin Booker, in the next 3 years, he will be a Houston Rocket.
Because I still think Seth is still at the top of his game. I do. I think he's right there. Who knows? Maybe not this year, but one time soon. Why wouldn't we potentially see Seth and Roman? One more, you know what I mean?
Tune in the vibe.
Lay on the mic tonight. News coming in left and right. Move better with the latest fight. Gene's got the insight tight. Champions rise and they fall. Wire to wire, got it all. Every move and every brawl. Tune in for the curtain call. Wrestling talk all night long. Catch the latest match and song. Ring the bell, let's get it on. Every story bright and strong. In the ring they clash and roar. New rivalries and so much more. Titles change and legends lore.
What's poppin', y'all? It is your boy, Guard E3, and welcome to the Meaty Boyz Podcast. And of course, joining me just like every week, I tell you every week, he is the greatest co-host of all time, second to none, Mo Better. How you doing, Mo?
Hey, I'm doing great, Brett. What can I say? It's Monday, so you know what it is. We're going to get into it and talk some wrestling.
Hey, we might as well start the show with a live update. We just found out that, Liv Morgan has officially picked Stephanie Vickier for her title match. So at Wrestlemania 41, it will be Stephanie Vickier versus Liv Morgan. What do you think about that one, Mo?
I think it's a really good matchup. I think their skill sets will complement each other. I can't wait for that matchup. I know that a lot of people will probably have Stephanie as a slight underdog, but I think this can be a banger. This could be one of the best matches of WrestleMania, so I'm looking forward to it.
No, absolutely. We WrestleMania's coming up. We got the Elimination Chamber on Saturday. Hey, what's going on? Thank you for tuning in. So let's say we got two WrestleMania matches. I will say, I know there's been a lot of talk about how slow the tickets have been selling for WrestleMania. I'm thinking that after the Chamber, everything will start. They'll start selling a little quicker. I think part of the problem maybe is you're trying to sell to the same market twice with only one match announced. So we'll see how they fill out the rest of this card. It'll be rather interesting.
No, I agree. I think that the ticket sales, they always say they're slow, and yet when it's all said and done, they sell out. But you know what? Fans have a right to be a little bit picky in how they spend their money. And if they want to see and wait and see what the card looks like, I'm there. I 100% agree with that. WrestleMania has to be worth your money. And I think Creative and Triple H and company, they got their hands full trying to figure out different kinds of matches that are going to entertain and engage the fans.
I'll say Kyle is not on this show. Actually, I was just on a show with Kyle like a couple hours ago. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's hard enough to like obviously sell out a big arena regardless of the show, but when you're trying to go into like the same market twice in back-to-back years and you're doubling your ticket prices from last year, like that's just tough. You can't really expect everything to sell out that quick. So when people are kind of like, well, ticket sales are slow. Hey, I get it. Like they decided to upcharge again, and now they're trying to sell that to the same fan base.
Right.
I do remember you, gamer. No, I appreciate you tuning in. It's good seeing you. So I Mo, I do want to start this off with a question, Mo. We got the Elimination Chamber coming up this Saturday. What do you think about the idea? What if CM Punk did lose? Like, I feel like a good way to spruce up the road to WrestleMania is a surprise, is maybe a shock victory. And what I know a lot of, Finn Balor has a lot of fans. What if CM Punk does lose? Would you be hyped for maybe a Punk versus Balor match at WrestleMania, or maybe a Punk Balor insert third competitor triple threat match? Like, say, what do you think the odds are that Finn Balor pulls off the upset, and would you be down for a upset victory from him on Saturday?
I would say if I was going percentage-wise, probably 40%, because I think that with all the injuries, they've had to alter storylines. I actually think the idea of a Finn Balor upset opens up the door to a more compelling storyline. And you almost read my mind, partner. The first thing I thought of was, it's not just Finn Balor versus Punk. It'll be Finn Balor, Punk, and another competitor to be named later. But I think it's a triple threat, and it'll be somebody where you go, okay, like it'll be somebody where fans are gonna go, yo, it's getting real. Like that to me is compelling because Punk is a big enough star that he can lose the belt and still be a monster star. Not to mention he can turn around and win it back at WrestleMania on the biggest stage, which is very possible and likely. But I think just for compelling storytelling, it's not like Finn Balor has never not been a champion. It's not like Finn Balor, when he was a solo performer, wasn't right there at the top with anybody else. He can compete with anybody. It's not unbelievable that he could beat CM Punk. It's really about what Triple H and company want to do with the storylines, because I do think every time there's an injury, they have to alter something. I know Brunson Reed is a star. He's not one of the biggest stars, but he is part of the vision. And I think his injury, if it's serious enough, it's going to alter even more of what they do going forward. So I like your idea, and I hope the powers that be are out there listening to your idea. I'm a huge CM Punk fan, so don't get me wrong. If he loses it, I'll be like, oh man, Punk lost. But if it's to build up the storyline where he can win it back in a triple threat, sign me up.
No, that's fair enough. It almost feels like that if he was healthy, like the perfect third guy for a triple threat match in this situation would be Seth Rollins.
Oh wow.
But obviously I don't know how Seth is gonna be. Come WrestleMania. It might be maybe night after WrestleMania return.
Right.
Also, well, what do you think about this whole like mystery crate idea? Like, obviously there's a crate and it says delivered to WWE, do not open until 2/28, which is obviously the day of the Elimination Chamber. We got rumors that it's Danhausen from AEW making his debut. We got rumors that maybe Chris Jericho showing up, which, by the way, I don't believe the Jericho rumors. I don't think he needs to show up in a crate. I feel like Chris is just a big enough name on his own that you can just kind of saunter him out there.
Respect.
That you don't need to, gimmick of the crate. So I'm curious. Do you have any predictions on who comes out of the crate or what that crate is on Saturday?
I don't, but let's look at it from this standpoint. Realistically, we know it's not a person that sat in the crate all that time, right? Like so the idea of like don't open it and then suddenly I don't know, Bobby Lashley kicks the door open. We know Lashley didn't sit there over the week or whatever in the crate, taking slow breaths. It's so far to this point. I don't know if you feel this way. I think the crate idea seems dumb. It seems honestly, it seems like a WWE idea. It's something that Bischoff and them would sign off on and build it up, and it comes down to it'll be something really stupid. Like as soon as I saw the crate, and I thought, oh no, I see what this gimmick's going to be. I immediately flashed to the Shockmaster, right? I just can't get over that.
I had
it was so bad.
Oh, I had a similar say, by the way, Dirk Bike Kid, thank you for tuning in, sir. I had a similar like bad flashback, but to me, I'm like, we're having a mystery thing pop out of a crate, out of something on TV live. This is going to be the Gobbledygooker 2.0, isn't it? Except instead of a giant egg, it's a giant crate.
Right. I don't think though, like you said, if it's a star, especially a star as big as Jericho, he doesn't need that gimmick. It's Chris Jericho. Just walk out there and get that pop. So I really do hope that I'm wrong and that they have a really smart, clever idea that I don't see. And it turns out to be something that all the fans embrace and get excited about. But to this point, the build up to it just reeks. Honestly, I said WCW, but if he was still in charge, and I know he's not, it's kind of a Vince idea too. Vince does stuff like he used to do stuff like that, and it was so dumb. I just hope I'm wrong and it doesn't disappoint a bunch of fans.
I still think the idea of it being an actual person like Danhausen or Jericho is hilarious because of what you said earlier. You're like, okay, you're trying to convince me that somebody just sat in this crate for like a month
Right.
waiting for this exact moment. Are they just like, tossing little crumbs of food in there? Like, there you go. No, I'm looking forward to, we got Becky and AJ for the IC title.
That's going to be fun.
That is. I feel like they're gonna have Becky win this one, but I feel like she's gonna have to cheat to win. So we're gonna set up the rematch for WrestleMania because at this point that's your WrestleMania match. So I feel like I don't even know if this is gonna be a match. Maybe it's more of an angle, but either way, I think Becky's coming out on top. Maybe like wins. Maybe AJ wins by DQ or Becky loses by count out, but. Like, I don't know, Mo. I feel like this match is going to be more of an angle leading to WrestleMania than an actual match.
I agree. I think it's a setup. But let me ask you this. You and I are always talking about the usage of young up-and-coming stars on the bigger stages. Could this be a setup to where we get a triple threat match with Becky, AJ, and Maxine?
Well, I'd say I'm not sure. Natalia actually beat the crap out of Maxine on Raw.
Again?
Well, left her laying.
Well, probably won't be Maxine then. Then again, I don't know. Look, I actually like her new persona, Natty. I kind of like it. I don't know why, but I kind of like it. But do I think she's going to be in a main event in WrestleMania? Probably not, or one of the bigger matches. But I can see Maxine maybe getting an opportunity. Like I said, she's one of the young up-and-comings. And I'm not saying she has to win. Sometimes when you're a younger star, if you're in that kind of match and you just have a good showing, it can catapult your career.
No, absolutely. I don't even think, Natalia needs to be like, in the main event picture. I think she's like that perfect mid-card like monster heel. Like you can give her a couple of IC title runs. She's like the perfect gatekeeper separating the mid card from the main event, and I think that's a perfect role for her.
I like that, and she's also a huge company person. So if she had a belt, I think she'd understand putting over the next person, if you know what I mean.
No, absolutely. It looks like, by the way, on Raw right now, we have Lesnar's out there, and he's just issued an open challenge for WrestleMania. So we might be finding out in a minute here to who Brock Lesnar's WrestleMania opponent is.
So in other words, he's saying who's going to come down, and we're getting ready to find out who's going to walk down that aisle. Well, it ain't going to be Bronson Reed. Is Oba going to come marching down the aisle? Because I'm okay with that.
They just showed Oba. He is backstage. I'm hoping that's true. But let's see. I hope the rumors aren't true. I just hope it's not LA Knight. That just sounds like such a rough WrestleMania match.
I don't want that. And although I enjoy his catchy tune, I don't want it to be Joe Hendry either.
Yeah, I'd say if you're gonna, have him wrestle at WrestleMania, Brock, just at least make it a competitive match. Like Joe Hendry, it would just be like one F5 and that's it.
What? What about Gunther?
I would enjoy Gunther. That would be great.
I think Gunther's not afraid of Brock. And he's a better technician than Brock. Like I think Gunther could give Brock problems, especially if he clamps that sleeper on him.
No, absolutely. Let's say he he issued an open challenge and just left, so I guess we're not going to find out tonight. But they're leaving it open-ended for who his WrestleMania opponent's going to be. But no, I personally would love like Oba Femi. Like it feels like I said, it feels like they're gonna probably save Gunther versus Lesnar for SummerSlam, but
okay.
Like I said, I'm really liking Oba. As long as Oba wins.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I hate the idea. Like John Cena was talking to, can't remember which podcast it was off the top of my head, but he is talking about, the loss to Lesnar. He's like, well, they had me lose to Lesnar because they thought he lost too much in the previous year, before he left, and they wanted to reset him as a monster heel. And once again, I feel like WWE just forgets that there are some guys that are just solidified. Like they can lose however much they want and it won't affect them. And I think, that's the case with Lesnar. So I'm only paranoid about a match with Oba because it feels like they're still trying to build up, Brock, even though you don't really need to build up Brock anymore. We know who he is at this point.
Yeah, I'm with you. He's established. And like you said, he is one of the ultimate monster heels. And you don't need to build up what he is, his resume, or who he is. I think that who you should be trying to build up are guys like Oba Femi and some of the younger wrestlers by going through some of these top headliners, these veterans. I think Oba's a perfect matchup for Lesnar, but only, like you said, if you're going to put Oba over. If you're going to feed him to Lesnar to make Lesnar look good for whatever reason, build him up, I don't want to see that.
No, absolutely. Another guy, I'll say, look, and also I saw somebody else outside the ring doing interviews. Trick Williams, that dude's going to be a star, man.
He's fun.
He just has so much charisma. It was great to see. So, man, Trick, I would almost love for, Trick Williams to somehow get into a big, I'd love him to be in a high profile match at WrestleMania. I know he's not going to win the chamber. They're not going to pull the trigger on him that quick, but give me a strong showing and a high profile Trick Williams match at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I'll co-sign on that. He doesn't have to win the chamber, but I think he needs to have a good showing in the chamber.
I'll say this is not the show for us to talk the Super Bowl. This is our wrestling show. But if you have any Super Bowl questions, you can check out the morning show tomorrow at 8 a.m. I would love it if Trick won. I guess the question is, who do you think pulls off win in the chamber on the women's side? They got one more spot to fill, I believe, and they got to find out Jade's opponent. We got Tiffany Stratton, Rhea Ripley, Bliss, Asuka, Kiana James, and one more. Do you think it's going to be the mystery last person, or do you think it's going to be one of the 5 ladies mentioned?
I'm going to go for the upset because I think it is kind of an upset. I'm going to say, and even though this is a weird matchup because it would be like David versus Goliath, I'm going to say Alexa Bliss pulls off the upset.
Hey, Bliss versus Jade would be a lot of fun. I'd take it.
Right, because it really would be. I mean, you know how tiny Alexa Bliss is, so it would be David versus Goliath. But can you sell that? Absolutely. If you know what Alexa Bliss has done and what her resume is, you can sell that.
Well, Mo, I think for the winner, I'm gonna take the one more that's to be determined. I think they're gonna do like some, last chance battle royal or something like that, or some last chance match with like maybe some of the losers in the previous match.
Right.
And I think that I think they're gonna get Charlotte into the chamber instead of Charlotte versus Jade. That's one match that they've subtly been teasing in the background, thinking we'd forget about it, but especially with Bianca's hurt, Naomi's hurt, like with the injuries that they have for all the perfect Jade opponents, like now it feels like a good time to pull the trigger on that Jade versus Charlotte match.
And they do have these weird interactions, right, where they cross each other's path and kind of stare each other down. Yeah, look, I don't think that would be a horrible match, but I think that Charlotte's done a really good job of kind of repairing her relationship with the fans, obviously with the formation of the tag team with Bliss. And look, at some point that'll come to an end. I get that. But I don't know if fans are ready to embrace Charlotte Flair as a world champion again. Not because she's not still one of the top stars. I think sometimes a lot of fans feel like she gets preferential treatment. When like I feel like she always gets to leap to the head of the line, if that makes any sense.
No, absolutely. I think almost the only way you put Charlotte in that position, though, is if you're having Jade win to help her, use her to get Jade over even more.
Yeah, and guess what? I'm with you. If you're going to give Charlotte that opportunity, it needs to be with the idea that you're going to put Jade over more and make her, because we're established, they're trying to make her a monster heel. Taking out somebody like Charlotte at WrestleMania with the belt on the line, yeah, that matters. That's how you would build Jade up more. So I do like that idea. And you're right. They're going to have to think about other alternatives because Bianca's not going to be able to compete because obviously Naomi is with child and she's out of the picture. Rhea is in the picture, but I feel like as long as her and Io are the tag team champions, Rhea's not really going to be the one they push out there for a singles championship run, at least not right now. So I'm open to new names, or yes, if you want to put Charlotte out there for Jade, I could do that. Look, I think a new name that blew everybody away in the Royal Rumble was Lash Legend. She absolutely, I mean, she showed up. Not just her, all the talent from NXT. Sal Rook is a monster. I mean, Lash Legend, like there's so much talent on the roster. I just want them to highlight some of them on the biggest stage.
Yeah, absolutely. No, for sure. I do hope that maybe like the women's like United States title gets some love just for that reason. Like, let's get some of these NXT women on there too. I know, like I said, for that big world title match, I might put Rhea Ripley in there too. Like, Rhea Ripley's so much fun when she actually faces another powerhouse because normally she has to be, the strong, women in the match. But when you put her with another powerhouse, all of a sudden, like, she starts doing some, like, cruiserweight stuff. And she really gets moving when you give her a strong base to work off of. So, say Rhea versus Jade actually just might be a lot of fun, too.
Sign me up for that one, too. The only difference is I don't see Jade beating Rhea, at least not clean. Could you sell Jade beating Rhea if she got some help or something? Yeah, because she's, and like I said, when you're a heel, that's the beauty of being a heel. You have a much bigger bag than the face does, and you're not held to the same standard that the face is held to. You're going to do something shisty or shady, and everybody's going to be okay with it because you're a heel.
No, absolutely. Say Javon Evans versus Kofi Kingston. That's a good one. Say that the match going on right now is Javon versus Kofi. As much as I don't like the New Day's gimmick right now, putting these two together is actually a great move.
The interesting thing is, in a lot of ways, isn't Javon like a young Kofi, right? Like people forget what Kofi was like when he was take 10 years off of his body or 12 years off his body. He was doing a lot of the things that Javon Evans was doing, including being a standout as a solo performer. So it's an interesting matchup because you've got the pupil versus the teacher in some ways. Kofi's nearing the end of his career. Javon's just getting started. But I think that I would say their skill sets kind of align with each other. It should be a really good match. I doubt Kofi wins because the New Day, let's be honest, they don't win that much lately. You know that.
No, absolutely. So yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. Mo, I thought I'd have a little fun today too. Kind of throw it back a little, old school. So I saw this post that which faction had the biggest impact in wrestling history. And I thought not only could we spend a little time giving each one of these factions their flowers, I thought you'd have a little fun. I figure a better question though, Mo, is if we rank them. Because I feel like the biggest impact in wrestling history, that's just the NWO. Like that's just a lock. And I don't think anybody would disagree that number one would be the NWO.
I think NWO's got to be there. It's not the impact that they had in the industry. Like the NWO's gimmick and everything they stood for was so good that it literally flipped. Remember, it flipped the ratings war. WCW getting their teeth kicked in, and they come up with this idea of the NWO, and they done something they hadn't ever done in forever, and that's beat WW at the time WWF on Mondays. That's how powerful the NWO was, and quite frankly, of all the factions, there's no debating this. The NWO is the biggest faction in the history of wrestling. But by the time they were done, Brett, they had like 40 people in the NWO.
Yeah, they were the biggest faction in wrestling, like literally and figuratively.
Yeah. And remember, they even broke them down into smaller groups. They had NWO Wolfpack. What was the other one? Dang.
I'll say they had the NWO New 2000.
Right. They had so many different variations. But I think if I'm ranking them, absolutely, I'm going to NWO 1. But I'm not mad at anybody that says DX 1. You damn sure can make a case for DX, but I like the top two for sure.
And I feel like and then of course there's also like spin-offs of the NWO. Like it's so popular, all of a sudden it's like, hey, there's the LWO. Hey, here's the BWO, the Blue World Order, and you're like, all right, this is getting ridiculous, but whatever.
Yeah, the LWO has not quite reached that status, but it was a good idea. I would say, like I said, I would. Those are the top two. That's pretty easy. I have no problem with the Bullet Club at 3. I will say one faction that's not on here that I'm kind of shocked because I think that they were pretty big and they were definitely successful. Would have been Evolution. Evolution had a really strong run.
I almost feel like that Evolution or even like the Shield would have made more sense than the Main Event Mafia in this question. Like, look, all those Evolution and the Shield are also placing number 5 if we added them here. But at least those factions at least produced multiple stars. The entirety of the Shield went on to become world champions and multiple.
Yes.
Say, like, Evolution obviously helped launch Randy Orton and Batista. I like the Main Event Mafia. I thought they were great. I'm not trying to diss the Main Event Mafia. It's when we're talking about impact in wrestling history.
Right.
Like, all 4 of these other teams impacted it in some way or another. Main Event Mafia, you're just like, all right, like, you had a great TNA run, but I don't think the impact just stacks up to the other 4.
Agreed. Look, Main Event Mafia was they were huge, but only within the TNA universe. I don't think the Main Event Mafia had any real impact in terms of overall. I'm talking about the larger scope of wrestling, not the way the rest of these factions did. You're right. I would replace and look, I enjoyed watching Main Event Mafia, so don't get it twisted. But we are talking about in terms of your impact on wrestling. I think you're right. Evolution or the Shield had bigger impacts on wrestling.
No, absolutely. And then you know what's funny, Mo? I don't think that number 2 spot is quite the runaway as a lot of people would think, right? And I think DX had a great like cultural impact for sure. There wasn't a lot of kids that weren't getting in trouble telling everybody to suck it at school.
No.
But in terms of like with the way it's phrased, Mo, wrestling history, like if anybody doesn't know what the Bullet Club did, the Bullet Club were the guys that helped get New Japan over to America, and then they also helped show that there, was a calling for an alternative to WWE when they hosted the first All In that sold out Madison Square Garden. Off of them spawned the Elite, which also, obviously, the Elite helped start AEW. In terms of like 2 through 4, I think it's interesting, Mo, because DX, obviously fantastic. If you want to say they're 2, I don't have an argument for that. But in terms of wrestling history, I think you're almost picking hairs because I genuinely think you could make a very good argument that the Bullet Club should be 2, or if you want to say the Elite for starting AEW at 2. I think you can make a very strong argument for both of those factions at 2 for impact in wrestling history. That's why it makes this so fun.
I think they have compelling cases. I don't know if they eclipse what DX did, because what DX did, nobody had ever done before. And within the framework of DX, Triple H was the heavyweight champion. Shawn Michaels was the heavyweight champion. The New Age Outlaws were the tag team champions multiple times. And don't forget what DX did. Remember when DX got into the tank and they drove down to WC? They've done so many over the top things. Like and my only problem is I can give the Bullet Club their credit and their flowers and the Elite, but DX was reigning over all of wrestling because WWE or WWF at the time was the biggest and the baddest. Now, whatever you say, that hasn't changed. They're still the biggest and the baddest. And as good as AEW has been and has come up, I don't think you're carrying the same weight or carrying the same water that Degeneration X is carrying, because they're doing it on a much bigger stage, a much bigger platform. I don't think they have an equal in that. You say there's an argument for 2. I think you can make a case. I just don't think you can make a winning case to move DX out of the 2 spot. I think there's a better chance to make an argument for DX to be 1 than not be 2, but not. I just don't think the Bullet Club. I get what they did. I just don't think that we forget all the belts that DX held and all the impact that they had throughout wrestling. And it's weird because there's the original version of DX, and then I think they regrouped for a while years later, and they won more belts and more titles. I think DX is very unique, like I said, because the formation of them, what they did originally, with China being the first female star that was an enforcer and had the impact on a role that she had within DX. I think they were trendsetters that way. I don't know if any of the others are trendsetters. I think that the Bullet Club, because of bringing over the talent from New Japan, I get their impact. I just think overall DX had not just a cultural impact, but they had a huge impact in what they did in the ring.
Yeah, I'd say, like I said, for me, when I look at this, it's like, to me, like, I don't think anybody has a case for the number one spot over the NWO. Like, I love DX, but like at the same time, it's like that's a little too big. But I did love the DX like 2006 run. I actually believe that one of the first like pieces of merch I ever got from a WWE show, like it was like the first one I think I got was a John Cena spinner belt, because I was rocking the John Cena gear, had the jorts and everything. And then I think after that, though, it was a DX hoodie that I would wear like every day. So believe me, yeah, no, I agree. I love D-Generation X, but yeah, no, the impact that the Bullet Club and the Elite had outside of, with reshaping the indies and helping come up with the whole entire alternative company. Like I said, to me, when I look at that, I'm like, man, it's so tough to rank them. But hey, you know what? I think we can agree on one thing, Mo. All these guys deserve their flowers. Absolutely terrific factions.
No argument there. They all deserve their flowers. I 100% co-sign that. And like I said, you could throw the Shield in there. I guess if this is the top 5, the Shield could be 6, Evolution could be 7, or vice versa. I think if you had a top 10, you'd probably throw the Horsemen in there too. I'm trying to think of another impactful faction. The Freebirds.
Say Von Erichs.
The Von Erich. It's weird because they don't consider them a faction, but there was like at one point before all the tragedy, there were like 7 or 8 of those jokers. So that's definitely a faction.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That was my first thought when I saw that too. I was like, look, I love the Main Event Mafia. I thought they were great for, what TNA needed, but man, like if you would have thrown like the Shield, the Freebirds, the Von Erichs, like I feel like those guys would like Evolution, like I feel like they would have made more sense. Like I said, I thought the Main Event Mafia was cool, but in terms of impact, it's like, oh, you impacted the TNA main event scene in 2010, but that's all right, I guess. Like that's still cool. I respect it. It did lead to some really hilarious Scott Steiner moments, so I can't even hate it. Scott Steiner he was so naturally funny during that time.
Look, I'm gonna tell people this: if you never got to see Big Papa Pump do a promo, you missed out on some dimes. And I'm talking about him in the NWO, and I'm talking about him later on down the line with the Main Event Mafia. Scott Steiner was must-see TV because you don't know what was coming out of his mouth, but it was going to be something hilarious.
If you've never watched Scott Steiner promos, I'll tell you exactly where to start. Steiner Math. Go watch TNA. Type in Steiner Math. It is the most terrific promo you might hear in your life. I think it might have changed my life. Like it was much better after hearing Steiner Math. But it's just also like the random quips, like when they're feuding with Samoa Joe and he's going all in on an impassioned promo. They tell him to calm down and he goes quiet for a second. You see the interviewer about to raise the mic to talk, and all of a sudden Scott picks his mic up and he just screams into his mic, "He's fat!" Like, all right, Scott.
Scott Steiner's fun. He is. He's definitely a character. The Big Papa Pump persona was perfect for him. If you don't know Scott Steiner, before he was Papa Pump, obviously he and his brother Rick Steiner were a terrific tag team in WCW and throughout the Mid-South, and they held various titles. But once he found that thing, and every wrestler finds it, that thing where they're like, this is the character I was meant to be, he embraced the big Papa Pump thing to the 10th power. I just remember him coming out in WCW and always coming out talking about where all his freaks were. Like he made me laugh with just the silly stuff that came out of his mouth.
The only sad part about sometimes the Scott Steiner is everybody knows him as this big, hulking big Papa Pump. I'm like, you're missing out, man. You're missing out on like OG Scott Steiner, who is one of the more athletic big guys you'll ever see in your life.
Yeah. Don't forget. I mean, when you see Braun Breaker do that Steiner, that he got that from that. That's a family thing. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Like, say when him and Rick would team up in WCW, like they look like they can beat you up, but then they would bust out some of the more like crazy athletic moves you'd see from a big man. And
right.
That doesn't even make any sense. Like, yeah, when Scott Steiner would do that, when he first started doing that, like Frankensteiner off the top rope, that Braun does, you're just like, how? Like, look how big you are. How does that even work?
Yeah, he was a freakish athlete, way ahead of his time. Rick was a great athlete too, but Scott was next level. Like you can see where Breaker gets it from, right? Like that's definitely like that was passed down, that athleticism, and the explosiveness. But yeah, man, I forget a Scott Steiner promo is hilarious. It was fun.
No, absolutely. I'm looking forward to. So I got a fun question for you, Mo. It's another one of those fun little would you do it. All right. Mo, I walk up to you. I say, I'm going to give you $300. However, you have to watch a 6-match wrestling card with all of the worst matches in wrestling history. Would you do it?
Wait, you're gonna pay me $300 to watch the 6 most awful matches I've ever seen?
Yeah, so it's like, all right, so it's like, all right, sit down opening match. Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior, 1998 Halloween Havoc.
Ugh.
And then we just progressively go more downhill from there. Granted, that match might have to be the main event because that genuinely was maybe the worst match I've ever seen.
You know what? I probably wouldn't do it. Probably wouldn't do it. There's some stinkers out there. I'd be like, you know what, my man, keep that 300. I'm good. Like what I don't need to do is experience that all over again. One bad match can just it could ruin the taste of a really good pay-per-view. I can't even fathom sitting through 6 awful matches. Look, if I used to be a big a fan of Big Van Vader, especially when he was at his peak. But at the end of his career, his matches were god awful and hard to watch, and they were putting him in main events, and he was toast. I've seen Hulk Hogan in so many stinkers, I've lost count. They're always trying to put him up against these really big monsters, but it doesn't work because Hogan's not a good wrestler. You know what I mean? Like, he's not a good wrestler. So you put him in there with some huge stiff, and it's just it's just 2 big ass men slow dancing. It's horrible. Yeah, I'm not gonna torture myself with 6 of those.
I love the old Hogan like formula where you're watching, like he gets beat up and then you watch him punch while the big monster's just like teetering, like, oh, is he gonna fall?
Right.
Nah, I don't even know what the card would look like for me because I would probably consider it, but Papa Shango and Ultimate Warrior, yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. Papa Shango and Ultimate
Reed
Warrior.
mentioned one of them that would probably be on mine. Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez. Doesn't matter which one. Like the WrestleMania match was bad, but then they have like a body bag rematch at SummerSlam, which was equally as bad, if not worse. But there's a second Undertaker match out on there, and it pains me because I love Taker. But the main event of the evening for me, if it's not Hogan versus Warrior, would probably be Undertaker versus Goldberg at Crown Jewel.
That's a good one. Well, that's actually a really bad one, but a good one. But yeah, I think the worst match I've ever seen would have been Hogan versus Zeus. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah, because he was
Tiny
filming.
He was doing Fridays. He was Debo
Yeah.
from Fridays, but he was so stiff. And Hogan was already stiff himself, but those were horrible, horrible matches. They were terrible matches.
Yeah, because that's right. Because he was filming like what was it, No Holds Barred, and the main villain was
remember
Zeus.
that? Yeah, it was
And
horrible.
they decided that we're gonna put him and Zeus in the match,
Right. Oh
and it
my
just
God.
turned out to be brutal. I guess I can count my blessing because as bad as WWE was at that sometimes they weren't WCW level bad of putting movie actors and props into their show. Like the first moment that comes to mind when I'm thinking of like movie stars in WCW for some reason, it's when they brought in a RoboCop to tear the door off that one cage to save the Sting, and you're just like, come on. And then we had Chucky scaring Scott Steiner, and then we had David Arquette winning the World Heavyweight title.
Yeah, they did some wild stuff. And by the way, I'm with you, T3&D, but I would say this: almost any match with Kamala in it was a bad match. Almost any Kamala match is a bad match.
Absolutely. So I thought that was a fun question. Hey, let me know in the comments. What do you guys think? Would you guys, for $300, watch a 6-match card with the worst matches that you have ever seen? $50 a match. Say Abdullah the Butcher and Cactus Jack. Say no. T3&D would.
My man, see that's a soldier for you right there. He said he would. Tougher than me.
Say or just watch 1995 WWE.
Oh, there you go.
That kind of just makes up for. Look, when I tried to go back and watch historical WWE events, one of the things I watched was 1995 SummerSlam, and you're getting hyped. You're like, oh, cool. I wonder what the main event is. It's Diesel versus Mabel, and I'm like, I might just turn this off now because you knew it wasn't going to be good. But then you're like, oh, maybe it's going to be some epic heavyweight clash. It wasn't. Although I got to shout out my guy Mabel because I thought he was I really enjoy. I low-key enjoyed him when he was Big Daddy V in ECW. Just a big hulking dude that would beat people up. I honestly loved it as a kid.
I think when he went to ECW, I think he gained some credibility. You know what I mean? Like you could sell him on being a big, powerful guy that was beating people up. You could sell when he was he was like a perfection or something like that, but he's like a joke. Nobody really took Mabel serious as a competitor.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the funny part is, to set that match up, you had another all-time stinker of a pay-per-view, because obviously back in the day, they had the King of the Ring tournament. Whoever would King of the Ring would main event SummerSlam, like they did with, Gunther and last year, which is a great idea. But in 1995, obviously when Mabel won the tournament, they decided to do an underdog run, and you had guys like Taker, Shawn Michaels in this tournament. We had 4 different Savio Vega matches that night. And I remember just being so lost because I'm expecting it to be maybe Shawn Michaels versus Mabel in the main event. And then I'm like, oh, it's Savio Vega. Cool. Oh, there's Savio again. Okay, I'm seeing a trend. All right, please no more Savio Vega. Like I said, it was such an interesting year for WWE. Like 1995 was almost like the embodiment as to why the industry needed a change, which is what the NWO would provide about a year later.
You know what? It's funny because a lot of Andre the Giant's matches when he went up against like other monster size heels or faces, they just didn't hit. I think Andre's best matches were against guys that were a lot smaller than him. but they were better and more credible performers. Look, Stan the Larry Hansen. I would say Stan Hansen was. You can make an argument he was Bradshaw before Bradshaw. With that Larry.
Absolutely. Hey, before we get off, apparently JBL said he almost had a match in TNA before creative plans changed. Would have been interesting to see 60-year-old JBL wrestling another match. I feel like he could have pulled it off, though. Like, his move and skill set was so power-based that it's not like there really wasn't a lot of his moveset that he probably couldn't do now. Like, it's clubbing blows, fall-away slam. Like, he can still pull that off.
And JBL today, even at 60, is still a credible performer versus I don't want to see Ric Flair out there ever again. Ever.
I'll say, hey, you know what? There was the report that, Ric Flair was considering a final match. We got Mayweather and Pacquiao having another match. We got Mayweather Tyson. Hey, apparently 2026 is the year of the unction. We're getting all the OGs and unks out there for one final hoorah.
Yeah, look, I get it. I would not. I'm not paying to see a Floyd Mayweather fight. I would not pay to see Floyd. I don't want to see old Floyd Mayweather fight an even older Mike Tyson, and I'm trying to figure out how that works because what is the catch weight? Mike walks around over 200 pounds easy. Floyd, even after a big turkey dinner, might weigh 150 tops. So what the hell is the catch weight going to be?
I think the catch weight is just money.
Well,
that's probably why they dubbed it an exhibition, just so they can avoid all that.
Well, don't worry. I mean, you're not going to get a brawl from those two. Mike's old and slow, and Floyd, if nothing else, can still get on his bicycle and pity pat his way to an easy win.
Yeah, and then Mayweather or Pacquiao, like, that match wasn't even that great, 10 years ago. And now what you want me to watch? I'm glad it's on Netflix. I already have it, so if I do decide to check it out of curiosity, I don't got to pay for it, I guess. But, like, I'm not looking forward to that at all because it's like, oh, you conned me out of the money a decade ago. Like, now I'm supposed to be excited after watching you guys pretty much do the salsa like 10 years ago. Like, yeah, I'm all right.
I don't know if it's going to be a great fight, but I will tell you this: if that fight actually happens, Manny is going to maul Floyd Mayweather.
Oh,
he is going to maul him.
Oh, it's official, Mo. They already announced it in like September. We're getting Pacquiao Mayweather II in Vegas.
I think Manny beats the brakes off of him.
Yeah, and you know what the crazy part is? It's not even an exhibition match. Apparently, it's just a regular boxing match. So Floyd's record will be on the line unless they change it, in the next, down the road.
This is gonna be like Sugar Ray when he fought Camacho, and they were like, "Oh, he's gonna kill Camacho," and Camacho beat the brakes off that dude. I'm telling you, Floyd is making a mistake. He is making a serious mistake. He must really need the money.
Yeah, hasn't boxed a professional match in 10 years. Sorry, 8. He had that one technical one against McGregor outside of exhibitions. I don't know how he does this. It's funny that you mentioned Sugar Ray because as soon as Pacquiao and Tyson got announced, they announced Pacquiao. I'm like, what's next? Mayweather versus Sugar Ray? Like, are we just going to keep getting slightly older as we progress? But hey, it's a lot of fun. Even throwing a little boxing for you at the end.
Oh, that's fun.
Say, that's all the time we got for you. Make sure to check out the Sports Report in about 3 minutes. Anything you want to add before we get on out of here, Mo?
No, I appreciate everybody in the chat. Reed, T3&D, everybody that showed up for us. You guys always bring the fire with your questions and some of your answers. So thank you guys so much.
And I want to end this on a note that I've done a couple times, but I feel like it's very prevalent now, especially with the news that we just got yesterday, with the unfortunate passing of former NFL player Rondell Moore. Just a friendly reminder: Your mental health matters. If you need help, go get it. There's somebody there for you. Men's mental health does matter. So make sure to take care of you physically and mentally. So I wanted to throw that out there. Just really unfortunate. You can check Mo and I out on, the N1 podcast on Thursday. And of course, if you want more content, you can check us out on Facebook or you can join the N1 podcast Discord. That being said, thank you for tuning in and you enjoy the rest of your night.